to make.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. And let me start by saying that I was also extremely concerned to see Iran's attack on Israel over the weekend. And I, like many of my colleagues on the Democratic side and on the Republican side here in the House, strongly condemned those attacks. Look, we have serious challenges in the world, challenges that require American leadership, challenges to the rules and institutions that have made the world a more peaceful place, challenges from emboldened dictators who want to oppress people and undermine democracy. And you'd think with all that's on the line, you would think that with all that is on the line, Republicans would try to work with Democrats to defend our values abroad. Maybe we could even have a constructive conversation about how to save lives and de-escalate tensions so this doesn't become a broader conflict. But at the very least, you'd think, is that we could work together to say that politics stops at the water's edge. You'd think that, but you'd be wrong. What we are seeing here today is a fake response to a very real crisis. Now, let me read an excerpt of what our leader, our Democratic leader, had to say. This is the first reaction from our side. Leader Jeffries said, quote, "America's commitment to Israel's security is ironclad and unbreakable. Iran will not succeed. We stand with the people of Israel during this moment of significant challenge," end quote. Now, contrast that with the Republican Speaker, Mike Johnson. Here's an excerpt from his first statement after Iran's attack. Quote, "The Biden administration's undermining of Israel and appeasement of Iran have contributed to these terrible developments," end quote. Now, I was hoping he was an outlier, but I scrolled through social media, and it was post after post of Republican talking points basically attacking Joe Biden. I think the other side blames our own president for this attack more than they blame the supreme leader of Iran. The distinguished chairman of this committee just said something that I have to make a strong objection to when he said that President Biden advocated a one-sided ceasefire. That implies that he advocated a ceasefire where Israel would basically do nothing and everybody else could continue to bomb Israel. That's just patently false. That is a distortion of what the president has advocated. You know, meanwhile, what has Joe Biden done? Joe Biden is the one who ordered the U.S. military to defend Israel. Joe Biden defended Israeli airspace. Our military, with President Biden as commander-in-chief, shot down more than 70 Iranian drones and 3 ballistic missiles this weekend. I mean, when Donald Trump was president, Iran didn't attack Israel. They attacked us. They attacked us. And they bombed U.S. troops. And alongside Israel, the UK, Jordan, and others, President Biden helped ensure that 99% of the projectiles fired by Iran were intercepted. That is real, my friends. That's concrete. That is tangible. These bills before us today, they aren't real. They're fluff. Not one of these bills under consideration this week would prevent Iran from carrying out future attacks. Not one of these bills strengthens Israel's defense system. Not one. And the craziest part is that this majority wants to bring up these bills to pretend like they're doing something. But meanwhile, they passed a bill to sanction Iranian leaders 6 months ago, and they still haven't sent it to the Senate. Why hasn't that bill gone to the Senate? Last month, March 19th, during our committee meeting, I pointed out that their bill, H.R. 589, had not been sent to the Senate yet. And it still hasn't been sent to the Senate yet. What the hell are they waiting for? Our allies don't need more empty promises or do-nothing exercises in political messaging. They need our help. Now, one option is to bring up the bipartisan emergency national security supplemental bill up for a vote. The Senate passed it 2 months ago. Why has Speaker Johnson refused to bring it to the floor for a vote? That's the fastest option. If the bill passes the House, it can go straight to the president's desk. If there's another option, let's hear it. But instead, Republicans are playing politics with a global crisis, blaming Joe Biden instead of Iran, and siding with Putin, an ally of Iran, instead of helping Ukraine. You won't hear them even mention Ukraine. Not a peep. Not a peep. Even though Iran and Russia are allies. even though Ukraine is also being bombarded by Iranian drones, even though Ukraine is literally begging us for help because they don't have an Iron Dome like Israel does. And still, to this day, the pro-Putin caucus in the House continues to parrot Putin's talking points and mimic Kremlin propaganda. It is not just wrong, it is incredibly dangerous. And I will say it again, we are at a turning point. Are Iran and Russia and their allies going to write the next chapter of world history? Or will it be written by people who share our values and stand up for democracy? Is America going to lead the free world as we have always done, or are we not? We can't pick and choose. We need to stand with our friends all the time. And we need more than a slew of messaging bills and non-binding resolutions that don't actually provide help to our allies. I mean, we are meeting at a time when Ukraine is literally out of ammunition. I mean, are we going to just sit back and let Vladimir Putin invade Ukraine? Is that what is in the Republican talking points, that somehow this is an okay thing to do? I mean, we ought to be dealing with that instead of with the bills that that are before us today. And I got to remind you, it's Iranian drones that are being used by Russia to target Ukrainian civilians, and not a peep about Ukraine. With that, Mr. Chairman, I yield back.